So, after 2016's Moana, the story of Moana 2 picks up basically right where we left off. Moana is a young ocean explorer leaving her tribe on their small island with her canoe and her trusty pig and chicken to travel the ocean and hopefully find other signs of life, find other humans or beings, that there are things out there just beyond the horizon, right? Fortunately, she kind of finds something in the beginning of Moana 2, heads back to her island and picks up a couple of friends to build a larger canoe and quest out together to discover if there is other humans out there, if there are other things out there just beyond the sea. But on the way, she may encounter a couple of old trusty friends and maybe some former enemies that might get in their way. It is Moana 2, and I'd tell you more about the plot, but honestly, I don't recall a lot of the names, and I think it's because there's a lot of characters in this movie, and also it's for children, and I'm an adult. And I shouldn't open an interview that way. That's not very positive. I should say that what I do like about this movie is how good it looks. I like that it moves efficiently. It's like 90-something minutes. Songs are okay. For what it's worth, Moana 2 is good, I think. But definitely maybe not for me. Andy, what did you think of Moana 2?
So it's definitely very different from the first one, I think. It started life as a Disney Plus series. We were going to get Moana the series, and they decided to turn that into this film. And you can really tell for two reasons. Number one, it's incredibly complicated. There's so much going on plot-wise. There's a lot of people, kind of hard to keep up with. But also, it seems like it's aimed at younger audiences, even more than the first one is. Like, it's what I call a good babysitting movie. You put it on, have it babysit the kids for a couple of hours. The visuals are really stunning. That's probably the best thing about it. It does look great. Lin-Manuel Miranda did not return to do the songs, write the music, and you can really tell. The songwriters are kind of hurt by that sentiment. They said, well, everyone's going to be singing it in a week. And I was like, I doubt it. Like, I couldn't sing you one song. And I used to blast the Moana 1 soundtrack when it came out. That soundtrack is so good. And this one's pretty forgettable. It's also, there's this theory that if there is nothing in the theater, then whatever is out is going to be successful. And there's a little bit of that. Like, this was the only real family-friendly movie that came out over Thanksgiving. And it's like, if it had any competition, it may not have been as successful. But it was like, well, what else are we going to take the kids to see? Not Wicked, certainly not Gladiator 2.
Right. In fact, Wicked and Gladiator 2 like kind of gave ample space to the holiday, and we're like, hey, we'll get out a week ahead of time. Like, they scheduled those out early. Disney slides right in with Moana 2. It's a perfect fit. They can get it on a bunch of screens. It's great. And I think, yeah, in that respect, it's done fine. But as far as like the actual movie goes, I think it's just okay. I think it looks really good. I need to start there and end there. This movie looks amazing. Like, from the smallest details, right? Like the sand on the beach to the way the water moves, like the light you can see in the trailer that we're running is nuts. Like, everything looks great. The bloom is fantastic. Like, the ocean has never looked so good. It looks fantastic in Moana 2. The visuals are on par. But the music's not as good. And like, it's not as funny, and it's kind of forgettable. And there's a few characters who seem like they have purpose and then just totally vanish from the movie. Towards the wrap up, as the film is like reprising one of the songs from the previous movie that is notably more memorable than most of what's happening here, I leaned over to Christine and was like, hey, did they, like, when I got up and went to the bathroom, did they address what happened with this one character? She was like, no. And then they do it in like a mid-credits scene. And I was like, okay. I was wondering, because I thought it just literally forgot about a character it had introduced. And it doesn't. It just doesn't have the time to get to him. It has to move very efficiently because, like you said, it's structured out of the show. It was going to be 8 episodes, and they were going to have these crew members on Moana's boat that all kind of had a little bit more time and like story dedicated to them. And they have unique character designs for that, but they're also just kind of flat and one note. And namely, Moana does not get a lot of time in this movie. She's off screen for like half of it because it has to kind of hang out with other people. Dwayne Johnson makes her return, of course. Maui is back. Very exciting. Like, if I'm selling toys, this is exactly what I need. But you're not launching any franchises, and Disney's not trying to. Like, it's safe. It feels like a very safe movie, a safe adaptation of what came before. It'll play for kids. We'll get some toys in stockings for the holidays. Moana 2,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Maui, Dwayne Johnson's character is also not in like the first half. He's like in some sort of prison has to be broken out. So he's just not in the first half. And I was like, they were saving on budget by doing that because he's such a
Yes.
big part of the first one. It is so complicated, and that's part of how you can tell it came from a series because there's so many plot points. You have Moana is trying to locate other Polynesian tribes across the ocean. Maui's been taken prisoner. She has to free him. They have to fight some lightning god to do a thing. Like there's so many plot points. It's so complicated.
Yeah, I do like that the characters come along for the ride. Namely, like the pig character that was left off of the boat in the first one didn't make any sense. I was like, I would feel like that thing would sell stuffed animals like you wouldn't believe. Instead, they took the chicken. So this time they're like, we got the pig. Great. You also get like a charming technical kind of character, a mechanic of sorts who works on boats. She's very charming, has a streak of blonde in her black hair. You get this like big brawly guy who's really like a sweetheart and a himbo and is nice and likes to do art and paint. And then you get like this old crotchety farmer character who does not fit in at all. And Maui, of course, who they pick up like along their journey. That's your like demigod. It's a lot for one little boat. Like for sure, it starts to feel full. But the movie moves really quickly into its third act. Like we're on our way. We got our crew. We're going over here. We got to get to the thing. Like that's all good. You get some clever returns from the previous film. Maui's transformations, I think, are all nearly the same. You get the same hawk and the same shark and the same like he pretty much does the same tricks. His tattoos are the same. Same. Like it's a whole lot of like it's the same. It's the same as what it's supposed to be. And that's good, but like man, it just does not invite much creative criticism. Like it's fine. The movie has the weakest of a pulse, you know what I mean? Like outside of visuals, which again, looks great. Great looking movie.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the humor. It it seems really dumbed down in this, and this is where it feels like a babysitting movie because there's lots of kind of Three Stooges type slapstick humor where people are tripping over each other or falling or bonking each other on the head, and it's just like, oh, this is here to entertain the babies,
Yeah.
and have them laugh. And there's a lot of it. And again, that's part of where like this is a less mature film than the first one.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that till you pointed it out to me. There are some laughs in the movie, and a couple of mine were literal physical stuff. It was like Tom and Jerry character gets hit by a frying pan, and their head is like shaped like the pan kind of stuff. And I hadn't thought about it till you pointed that out later. You're like, most of the comedy in the movie is physical and simple. It's not a lot of dialogue. It's very simple physical action, and it's like yeah, because it's for little kids. Like that's who this is for. Like the parents can put it on Disney Plus later, and they can watch it. I don't know what kind of ambition I had for Moana 2, but I think if this movie does anything well, it underlines how good that first movie is and like actually makes a lot of that stuff pop. Because a couple of those reprises of songs, you're like, oh yeah. I just the other day I had a tune from a totally different song in this movie that was in the first film. It was like the theme of the ocean. It's like this soft vocal. And I had it stuck in my head and I couldn't place what movie it was from. Then I realized, oh, it's Moana 1, which I haven't watched in years. But it's just in this movie, just enough. And that's already like more interesting and gets your head turning more than like most of what's happening here. The songs here are okay. You get your I Want song, which is kind of the title track for the movie. You can't hum it. You can't hum the Moana 2 theme. You know what I mean? When you come out of the theater, like it's not as sticky of a film.
I could still sing you songs from Moana 1, and I cannot sing a single song.
I can hum
from
3 of them.
Moana
I
2.
know. And so I think Moana 2 is fine. I think if it had been a show, it probably would not have done as good. I think adapting it to a movie was the smart money. But I hope that we get more Moana ones. You know what I mean? Like, I hope we get more Inside Out ones. Like, the sequels are cool if you're a baby. But if you're anybody with a brain and you pay more attention to this for longer than a few minutes, you realize like, hey, come on. Like, I think audiences deserve something a little richer than this. This is okay. It's got 3 directors. It's got 5 writers. Dwayne Johnson produced it. And out of the 21 listed cast members, 4 of them are Dwayne Johnson or his family. So nearly 20% of the cast is The Rock. and by extension, like family, which is great. Like, I don't know. Like, who is this for exactly? Like, is this 4 people or is this 4 executives to make money? And it's 4 people to make money. It's movie by business.
I heard it compared to when Disney was in its sequel heyday in like the 90s when they were in their straight to DVD DVD market, because that
Mhm.
was a huge aftermarket to do. And so, but all those films were of lower quality because it was straight to DVD, and that's kind of what this is. And the worry is this is what we're going to get more of, is the straight to DVD Disney sequel that we used to get 30 years ago. Now we're getting it on the big screen.
I know, and I feel that way. I worry about that, but then I have to stop and ask myself, like, is Disney worried about that? And like, I don't think they are. I think they want to make money, and like, they would rather have that. Like, I think of, yeah, like a starry-eyed executive who's coming in to make money and make a name for themselves at Disney, and they're like, how can I do it? We can make money over a decade. We can just make a bunch of sequels, and that's great, like for the people who wear suits and don't really care. But like for those of us who like to go to the movies for like an escape, like Moana 2 isn't all that escapist. It's kind of just more of the same but less so, unless you're a child, in which case it's great. Yeah, like Andy, you said it perfect. Like, it's movie by babysitting. You just throw this thing on, you don't have to think about your kids at all.
Basically, yeah. There's not much more I have to say.
I know, I'm running out of gas. Andy, would you recommend Moana 2?
So I would say that this is a perfect family film, great for the kids. It's the holidays. You want something to go see that's family friendly and fun. It it is not as good as the first film. It is still fine. It's not bad by any means. The visuals, I think, are the best part. It's some really striking things, some kind of scary stuff. There's some monsters in here, and I was like, I don't know if kids would be okay with this. Um, but fun songs, like I said, it'll be perfect for the DVD streaming market. So I would say if you are a huge fan of Moana and you want to check it out, probably for you. If you're a little skeptical, save it for streaming.
Yeah, I just don't think Moana does anything creatively fruitful. Like, there's nothing here that is really worth the time. If you're a big Moana fan, you've probably already seen it, and if you just are in passing and you're curious, I would liken it more to a Disney direct to DVD sequel than I would like a proper film release. It's getting big numbers because of course it is, right? Like, the market it's releasing in is favorable, but I don't know. It's Moana 2. It's fine. It's fine. It's a fine movie. Movie has a pulse, I think. And with that, we should jump into not a new section on the show, but something a little different, huh? Not just talk about films, but film trailers, the ads that come out in front of them, It's the same segment we've always done. What do we call this segment, Andy?
It's time for the trailer park.